Good morning, everybody, and welcome to TRS Live. I am your host, Matt Trott. Sitting next to me is Brian Keller, Kyle Carpenter, and today's show is all about the NPFL, and we got Brad Fuller. Actually, we have Brad Fuller waiting in the wings. He's disconnected, so
wherever Brad goes, it seems like there's bad data.
yeah.
Is that a thing?
I wonder if it's his background. Like,
He
if
lives
it's
in
all
the
his,
middle
like,
of nowhere
I
in
think we should,
Ohio.
right. I think we should ask him, is bad data just like just a hindrance?
I
for
wonder
him
if it's all the
time?
scramblers he got, so people can't hunt him like he used to hunt people.
Oh, there
you go.
That's
I
probably.
gotta ask him this.
Yeah, we're gonna ask him.
That's
We
some
got
deep
Bad
stuff,
data
man.
dropped calls thing with Brad's a real issue.
Hey, so before we bring Brad in, if you have any questions about the NPFL, if you have any questions for Brad Fuller, I mean, go ahead and fire them in the chats. I'm on YouTube and Facebook. Brian's monitoring the Fix TV app. So if you have any questions, by sure, I can't talk already. Let's just bring Brad in.
We should bring Big Al on and see if he got his rims back.
Hey, good morning, Brad.
Hey,
Hey,
what's up?
Brad.
What are you up to this morning, my man?
Oh man, I coyote hunted last night, so I'm a little draggy this morning. Apology. But I did push my 11 o'clock meeting back, so we don't have a backstop. So I did do that. But yeah, man, I'm out at the NPFL trailer at the new construction, getting some stuff lined up for deliveries later today and stuff like that, and doing NPFL meetings right here from the old trailer.
How did the coyote hunt go last night?
It's pretty good. I had a landowner call me and say, hey, I've got some stuff going on. He had a couple calves that he was worried about, so I went out. Actually, I hit one last night and didn't. It's probably dead, but I didn't find it last night. So, but yeah, it was a pretty good night. Quick and in and out. So not too bad. It's that time of year, man. It's a good time to be out hunting right now.
Yeah, and you're using thermal and
I
everything.
was just
right?
gonna ask, is he
Yeah.
using thermal? Is that
Yeah, I run all pulsar equipment. I got a Thermion scope and then a Q50 scope and a Thermion scanner, and then I run a pulsar quantum backup scanner as well.
Sweet, fully loaded.
I don't know
So
if I even want to know how much that setup costs, do I?
We're not gonna. Michelle's probably watching, so I discounted price.
yes, Michelle is watching, and she says 3 of my favorite people. There's 4 of us plus Andy, so who's
Brian.
excluded?
Right.
Yeah.
Brad's obviously not her favorite.
Listen, man, Brian knows this too well. Building a house will stress every part of your life, brother. So
Absolutely.
yeah, we've bought and sold a business. We're running the NPFL together, and building the house by far and away is the most stress we've ever been through in our lives. So we're getting close to the end. So we're starting finished work next week. Tiles going in the showers and all that. So we're getting close to the move-in day. So it's all good.
So what I got from that whole thing is he's living in the trailer, but not by choice.
Right.
It's a safe space. Trailer's the safe space.
That's actually Michelle's office, though.
Yeah.
It is.
So, man, there's a lot of cool things going on with the NPFL this year. You want to kind of start breaking down some of the cool things coming up for 2023?
Yeah, man. You listen. We've been in this going into our 3rd year, and clearly, I told Michelle, I was like, it's probably going to be weird because you guys do have the insight. Like we talk a lot about where we're going, what we're doing, because we're so tightly tied to production, and we feel like it's a pillar of our business. So, but listen, we made some decisions early on going into 23, trying to do what we felt was best to get us like sponsorships and make it enticing to anglers, and a championship was a big part of that. We felt like it just didn't feel complete. It was a great year. We had an awesome time. We had some phenomenal tournaments, but not having that championship at the end of the year, it just hurt, man. You know what I mean? And we were desperate to get that, and we made a decision to raise entry fees and have the anglers fund it. A group of anglers, a subsection of the anglers said, "Yeah, man, we're all about it." And then nobody signed up, right? So we anglers are the number one commodity in bass fishing. I said that on a podcast earlier this week. So you have to build your business to garner your lion's share of that commodity, or you don't have a business. Yeah, we'd all like for sponsors to give us millions and millions of dollars and just throw money at our feet and all. Guess what? Doesn't happen, right? So we went back to the drawing board, and I give credit to Mike and Kathy. They called and said, hey, we've got something we'd like you to look at. And it was a $5,200 entry fee for 130 anglers. It got us a $250,000 total purse for the championship. So we're paying a total purse of $250,000 or $250,000 for the championship. The winner of that's going to get $100,000. On top of that, each of the regular season events, so the 6 events that we're going to run, the winner will get $100,000. So when you look at how that fits us into the tournament angling space, I'll be honest, man, I've never been a high top payout guy mindset wise. So it was a challenge for me to get over that. And here's my rationale. And Brian, I know you and I have had this discussion. If you pay $100,000 to win, you're affecting 6 guys throughout the year, right? There's 6 guys who are going to win that $100,000, and that's great, but you're only affecting 6 guys. If I take 25 or 50,000 of that money and spread that down to the bottom, let's say we add 5 payout spots on 6 tournaments, I've affected 30 anglers throughout the year. Now it's not a significant impact as the 100,000, but I may be prolonging a guy's career and making it more fiscally viable for him to fish. Guess what? That didn't work, because when we put out the $100,000 deal, man, it was the new people we've never heard from, people we've never talked to, were calling us wanting to have discussions about it. I think currently to date, since we announced that, we sent out about 267 applications to guys who submitted applications. And so there's been 267 of those. Now, some of those are guys that were like, we'll fish in year 1 and didn't fish in year 2. Some of those guys were guys said, hey, I'm not fishing in year 2 or year 3, I'm sorry. And they came back and said, hey, I'd like to look at that again. Matter of fact, I just saw a name come up that has signed his contract who was like, look, man, it's the travel and I'm running a business and I just don't have time. He just signed a contract and he's coming back for 23. So
Brad, let's talk about this for a minute, because I think this is kind of an interesting topic, because you're right. I know you and I have talked about this top high-end payout thing in nauseum. I know Kyle and I have talked about this in nauseum. Even though the proof is in the pudding, right, and the anglers are telling you what it is, I still don't understand it. I still just don't comprehend why everyone – I mean, how many tournaments have – Kyle, you fished for 20 years. How many tournaments have you actually won?
Oh, way less than I've fished,
right,
for sure.
Right. So just from a financial standpoint, I struggle with it. I'm not arguing it. Obviously, it's what the anglers want. Right? Like, I can admit when I'm wrong, but I can still ask questions as I just don't get it. Like, I just can't wrap my head around it.
Well, I have a theory if you want to hear it.
Yeah, that's why I want to. Yeah, I just figured you can.
So obviously, and I like. This is a little flashbacky. You guys are in a little nicer digs, but remember, you guys did the first MPFL podcast ever, right?
Yeah.
I think it was it Kyle and Matt, or
It was Matt and Brian.
Yeah, it was me. Yeah, it was Matt and I.
But dude, I've learned something in the 2 years of doing this, going into our actually 3 years. So the number one factor that we have to take in consideration that is a little weird, and we're going to ruffle some feathers here, so I hope that's all right.
Yeah, give her.
It's ego, right? Ego is a baseline factor for a lot of reasons. A lot of guys do things. That's the only thing I can put my finger on. A guy wants to pound his chest and go, man, I had a shot at 100,000. Man, I'm fishing for 100,000. Look, I was very upfront with the anglers. Look, guys, the total purse is $478,500. We're putting 100,000 in first. I'm splitting up the 378.5 remaining down the list, and it is what it is. They're good with it. They're good with it. Last place check is 41st at 7,000. I think. Look, man, like in the fishing world, $100,000 payout. Certainly for those 6 anglers, it does have a multi-year impact, right? Like it doesn't just shore you up for 1 year. It could be depending on how much support money you get in cash. It could go, hey, if I win one tournament, it solidifies me in this business for maybe 3 years, right? I can ride that 100,000 win for 3 years, and then you get a 1 in 40 shot at your share of a $250,000 purse. So that's the only thing I can think, man, is that guys just want to be part of something where there's a big carrot hanging out there that they get to chase.
Yeah, see, and I've always looked at it from the how can we keep more anglers fishing? You know what I mean? Like, get a deeper payout, get double your money back, get your expenses covered, and keep more guys fishing more often. But obviously, that's not how the anglers view it. Obviously,
Well, the industry has set that too. You know, you look at the big tournament trails; every one of them is 100,000 plus to win.
no, and I get that, but does that mean it's the right way to do it?
No, right or wrong, it's just what the industry.
Obviously,
has done,
I'm in the
so.
minority. I'm not
Right.
trying to fight that anymore, but I just still.
Yeah, there's a subsection of anglers who agree with you, Brian. And look, man, when you break down any tournament trail, whether it's the elites, whether it's BPT, whether it's whatever it is, there are kind of three sections of anglers. There are guys at every tournament. I don't care if we line them up in the Walmart parking lot and put them in a mud hole. They're fishing for the win. There are guys like Gary Atkins that feels like every tournament he enters, he has a chance to win. Everybody wants to be in that group, right? Like that's where you're striving to get to. The next group are guys that they're your check cashers. Hey man, they don't miss checks. They're always, if they miss it, they're missing it by just a little bit. And then there's guys who are occasionally going to cash a check, right? They're going to go, hey, I get 2 or 3 checks for the year. That's going to be good for me, right? I'm capitalizing on my talents and my skills. Now I want to grow my angling abilities to be in that top section where I'm always fishing for the win. But anglers are also pretty realistic with themselves about where they fit into one of those three groups, right? And here's the thing. I think if you pick out something that's sitting in the middle, everybody wants to be in that top group. So if you have the $100,000 purse there, guys are like, that's where I want to be. You know what I mean? Fishing for $100,000. I'm like you, Brian. I think I understand it, but the bottom line is it's where we are. It's where we've worked our way to. And look, man, I think we've got a very legitimate shot of getting to 130. I know that sounds crazy, but I go back to last year after we stubbed our toe in year 1 with the championship deal, and I was like, man, if we get to 100 anglers, that's going to be a great deal. We ended up with 120. We started with 121. Like I never dreamed we'd get there. So I think we got a good chance. We're talking to anglers every single day, and it's going to be all right. I think we're on our way.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I wasn't trying to put a wrench in it. I was just curious. It's something we've talked about a lot, and it's I can admit when I'm wrong. I still don't necessarily get it, but I get that's what the anglers want. I mean, you and I've had this conversation for hours.
Yeah, and every tournament circuit struggles with it in a different way, no matter what the entry fee is. You know, with Wisco, we try to do the same thing. You want to keep as many guys happy as you can by paying out as far, but you also want to have that big carrot at the top because that's what is big and shiny and it attracts more people.
Well, here's the side of it though that I've become more, I don't know, self-aware, I guess, from the business aspect is you said something in there, Kyle, about keeping anglers happy, right? And we, us, man, you've been there with us. You've seen what we do, how we do with anglers, and we have to kind of recage our mind for how we function and operate with concerns that how we take input from anglers. And what I mean by that is each angler knows what he wants for himself, and he's very self-centered in that view, right? No angler have I ever met has the greater good, kind of in the back of their mind. It's all, and that makes sense. It's an individual sport. These guys aren't employees. They're paying to gamble. They're gambling their money with us. They have a choice where they go. But at the end of the day, we have to build a business to be consistent and predictable. So that's one thing the NPFL has been missing in the first 2 years. And I think this epiphany for me, and really not an epiphany, Mike just said, hey, this is what it is. And I'm like, oh, crap, Mike, you're right. Is we've never had, in 2 years, going to our third, it's always been change. Like we're always chasing the next thing or we're chasing something. What we need to get to is a consistency with how we function and operate on a daily basis and for tournaments, and that gives us predictability. Predictability at least puts you in a conversation where guys don't have to wonder what's going on. It takes, anytime you remove questions, it's easier for the mind to process that as a possible place you want to go fish. When guys are sitting home, and I understand this now, like when guys are sitting home, they're like, man, I don't know what's going on at the NPFL, and I know blah, blah, blah. You gravitate towards those things that you do know, right? So look, that clearly hurt us this year. We understand it, and I think the lesson has been learned where we're already saying, hey, if you fish with us in 2023, you're an automatic qualifier for 24. No questions asked. Like if you fish with us and you're in good standing at the end of the year, you're automatically invited back for 24. That's had a little more impact than I thought. Guys are like, man, I really would like to see this thing go, but everybody feels like if we can get that predictability, consistency to give us some predictability, we end up with a waiting list in 24. Like hands down, no doubt about it. The one thing I'll say with the $100,000 deal too, Brian, is sponsors love it. Like it's the flashy, it's the flashy car in the parking lot. You walk through the parking lot, you're like, hey, that thing's sharp. You know what I mean? So that was an unintended consequence, to be honest with you. Like we had immediately when we announced it, because we didn't vet that through the sponsors. It's really none of their business, right? But they called immediately like, oh yeah, man, hell yeah! Like now we're juicy. You know what I mean? So that was an unintended consequence. But hey, man, if sponsors are happy, then that's another kind of feather in our cap to make sure that we're always keeping an eye towards that.
So, Brad, you've kind of mentioned it a couple of times. Can you talk about the schedule that's coming up for this year?
Yeah. So that goes back to some of the anger input stuff. So we are. I don't think we've announced this yet anywhere. So we are going to make a schedule change, and man, it's the last because it goes against everything I just said, that predictability and consistency. But listen, make no doubt about it. Mike, Kathy, Michelle, myself, Alan, Paul are 1,000% all in on 130 anglers. Like if I think I can make a change, or I don't know, man, make a phone call and whatever we have to do to get 130, that's what we're going to do. And the schedule change comes in line with that. I know some people are not going to be happy about this, but as far as the greater good and a cumulative effect at the end, we feel like making Amistad the championship venue. That'll happen towards the end of 23, possibly right at the beginning of 24, somewhere in there. And we've already talked to everybody at Amistad, so this is not a news flash to them. Making Amistad the championship and then bringing in a more centrally located event one is going to garner us, I don't know, 10 to 30 anglers, right? We have 3 venues that we're looking at. I'm literally watching my text messages on my computer because I was hoping maybe, Mr. Magic, Paul Benson would text me and say it, but he hasn't said that yet. So we feel like that bringing that tournament for event one into a more centrally located area makes it more appealing to some anglers who are kind of like on the fence. Look, man, Fed just raised interest rates another 0.5%, 50 points. Rumor is it's going to be 0.75 of points at the end of the next quarter or the quarter following. Who knows where diesel prices and expenses are going to go, right? So if it makes it more financially viable because we shrink the number of miles you're down on the road for the bulk of the field, that's a good thing. So we're ready to make that announcement as soon as we get something firm from the venue or one of the venues. And we don't care which one it is. They're all great, phenomenal. I mean, look, man, you're talking a centrally located tournament somewhere between the end of February to the middle end of March, right? Obviously staying off. There's a big tournament in there, I think, somewhere that's classic. But you know what I mean? So we feel like that's a really big deal. And Matt, the reason it's all important is we're trying to get that domino effect, right? It's easy to sit back and question whether you want to go or not when there's 50, 60 spots left. When there's 10 spots left now or 20 spots left, you guys are like, man, if I don't commit, I'm not getting in. And if I don't get in this year, I'm probably not getting in next year. And with the volatility in the market, that is here to stay. And I want to come back and ask you guys a couple things about that in a minute. We keep saying that man, the market's going to calm down next year. The industry is going to find its groove and go back to the old days of it just kind of rinse and repeat. Some anglers moved around, but it's just been volatile since COVID and since we busted on the scene in the COVID year. It's been chaos. Look, man, I think that is the new norm for the foreseeable future. Until there's some big giant catalyst to streamline things out, I think the world we see now is what we live, which is what we're going to live in on the business side. And I feel like being consistent in that, as consistent as possible, also makes us more attractive and lucrative for both sponsors and anglers. So, that's a little playbook insight there to how the MPFL is going to go about our business in the subsequent years.
Good stuff. I don't disagree at all with the consistency and all that. And again, Kyle and I have talked about this in nauseum too. So you're hitting the nail on the head on a lot of different subjects here, Brad. But I do think it's important for people to understand, though, when you're starting something like what you guys tried to start from scratch, there's a reason nobody else has ever gotten to the level of the Bassmasters or the ML. You know what I mean? Like, there's a reason that hasn't been done. It's not easy, and you're gonna make some mistakes, and you're trying to do something different. You're trying to be a different venue for a different style, not a different style of angler, but a different brand of angler, maybe. The guys that have the full-time jobs and everything else you've talked about in the past, you're going to have some hiccups along the way. And I think people just have to, if, like you said, you said it, if people want to see this stuff stick around, they have to kind of, hey, I like Brad Fuller, I like Michelle, I like these other people that are running these organizations. I'm going to trust these individuals to make some mistakes. They own up to it. And then we're going to move forward, but we're going to continually be moving forward, which is what you're just saying.
Right.
Yeah, Brian, and look, man, like I said, you've been in, like, you were in this, man, like from the very, very beginning. You might have been our first phone call when we said, yeah, we're going to do this.
Yeah, we talked in the fall of 2019, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, man, I never thought this was going to, we didn't have these preconceived notions of anything being easy. And, guys like you and some smart business people said, this ain't going to be easy. You know what I mean? And guess what? You're right. But man, I do want to say, and I'm horrible at this, and I know Megan gets on you, Brian, for this, and Michelle's always on me. Like, look what we did in a COVID year and then a downturn recession year. Like we are doing some really good things, and we are really getting close to being where we think we need to be a long-term business entity within the fishing industry, right? Look, I had no qualms about being able to go out and organize 125 guys and get them through a weigh-in like that. I wasn't worried about any of that. All right, I was a little bit worried.
I was going to say that's good because I was.
Well, I felt confident that we'd figured out, right? Like that's one thing I'm very confident in is my ability to see, adapt, change on the fly in the moment and make things work, because that's what I did for 28 years with the military. Like, there was no options, right? Like, it's not, you can't just quit. So you got to figure it out. So I was comfortable with that. The business side of it, man, and that's why Mike and Kathy Como have been so important and a vital piece of this puzzle. And I believe everything happens for a reason, man. Like, I'm not just throw my hands in the air and just say, well, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. Like, we're willing to roll up our sleeves and work really, really hard. But everything that's happened has led us to where we are now. And Mike and Kathy coming on board, you've had conversations with Mike. Like, he's a really smart business guy. Like, that's what we were missing. And it feels like it's all coming together. And I feel like everything is just kind of falling into place. It's not easy, and nothing is given and nothing is guaranteed. But with the way we've structured things and the mindset and the outlook and how we process information and data, how we talk to sponsors, and how we look at the business. Look, we're never those guys that sit back and go, we're the greatest ever. We are bass fishing or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, we don't do that. Anglers say that, man, nobody runs a better tournament than the MPFL. Nobody pulls off what we pull off with just a skeleton crew of knuckleheads that just work hard and get it done. We got to kiss the business up.
I think he's talking about the Waymaster specifically.
I was thinking the other Kyle.
Yeah. So, but we got to catch the business up to that, and I feel like we're doing that. And yes, we've made mistakes, and look, we're probably going to make some more. But man, and if we go into our third year with the production value that you guys help us bring to the table, with the on-air talent, with Lance running the controls, with Andy on the boards, like Kyle is a waymaster, we get around that. Matt's coming to shoot video for us next year. Like, dude, we're all. It's really, really good, right? Like, for something that was never supposed to get off the ground, this will never happen. You guys are crazy. Man, we're here, we're in the discussions, and we're not going anywhere. So we're excited about that, and I'm excited to have you guys on board with us for next year and for many years to come, I think.
So speaking of discussions, we're going to catch up on some of the chat comments here. So first one, Catherine Jean says, "We are awesome." And then Chip Goy has a question for you. What kind of beard oil does Brad use? That thing is magnificent.
So, I don't know what it is, but I do use.
You gotta ask Michelle.
I don't care if you use bacon grease, Crisco, olive oil, canola. Like, you have to put some kind of oil on your beards. It's a number one thing. Like, you got to take care of it, man. It'll take care of you.
And Scott Pieper says, and badass cameraman. So yeah, that's a big deal. I mean, that it does.
Well, you talk about the growth from the beginning. I remember the first event I knew Follow walking in circles in that room around the cameras when everybody hears. I'm getting Snapchats from Matt of me walking like a zombie at midnight, walking around in circles, and these guys are zombies here laughing at me walking in circles. And
I'd rather forget that first event from a production standpoint.
Put the growth part of it.
Well, yeah, for sure, yeah.
But it's Kyle. I actually thought of that when I was driving out here to the farm today. I was like, man, me sitting at the table on headphones, like literally falling asleep at the table, watching you walk in circles, and then the way, like how the weigh-ins went. You know what I mean? Like, and dude, it's very humbling to think of how far we've come in the past just 2 short seasons.
Yeah.
And I think, man, it's just we're all cut from the same cloth, right? Like there's zero doubts about how we approach life and how we approach problems. And that's why I think we were so excited that you agreed to jump into this crazy thing with us, Brian, is that we knew that, listen, it's not going to be pretty. We're probably going to say something to each other that we'll never be able to take back. But at the end of the day, we're in this together.
There's been a couple phone calls I'm glad weren't recorded, Brad.
Some of the face-to-faces are fun.
Yeah, like it's. But hey, man, we're all still. You know, I consider you guys friends. And that's hard to do in business, right? Like it's hard to do business with your friends. It usually doesn't work out. But we legitimately care about you guys. We care about Fixed TV. We care about the progress and the growth of Fixed TV. We want to help you guys grow that. We want to help because we know that's mutually beneficial. It's also good business. You know what I mean? So there are, and I just think it's kind of a powerhouse team. And we also have that. Remember, Brian, you saying, Brad, love to be sitting in some meetings to go, who the hell are these guys? Like, where did they come from? There's a little bit of pride in that, right? Like,
oh yeah.
We're not supposed to be able to do this, and I do enjoy that part of it.
So let's talk a little bit. If somebody hasn't never heard of the NPFL until this morning, I think we've talked a lot about people that have followed it for the last couple of years.
Good point.
But if somebody's just tuning in right now, they don't know anything about any of the mistakes you've made in the past. They don't know anything about any of the mistakes we've made here on the production side. None of that's a thing. They're just thinking about signing up for this crazy circuit. What are they looking at getting into? What's it all about?
So I think the biggest compliment we get is, man, it feels like family, right? Like it feels like a family. It feels like we're in this together. Even though the anglers out there are trying to cut each other's throats and beat each other to death, you know, not literally, but in the fishing world, like I've never seen guys kind of bond together and help each other the way these guys do. It's kind of weird. Like, I mean, I was just talking to someone the other day. Well, I'll tell you who it was. It was Patrick Walters. And he was like, man, it just feels a little weird for everyone to be so nice and so cordial and almost to a fault. Like, it's like, I think that mentality has cost guys some money in some places in the NPFL. But it goes back to the culture. So when you come to an NPFL event, president of the NPFL, Paul V. PSLs, Al the founder, Michelle runs the office. Like, we are present in our business. We are at the ramp every morning when you launch your boats for practice. We are there mostly every day when you come off the water. If you need something, we're there to help. Trying to show that we legitimately care. So there's a mantra that we're carrying this year: deeds, not words. I can sit here and tell guys all this crap, right? You got to come see it, feel it, and experience it for yourself. Or talk to someone who has been there and seen it and felt it and experienced. It just hits different. Deeds, not words. I don't have to tell you anything. I'm going to show you, right? And I think for a guy who's out there on the fence that wants to take $31,200 and gamble it with his ability to catch a bass or 15 bass over 3 days and compare it to another 129 guys and see where he stacks up, there is no better place to do that than the NPFL. Here's what the NPFL offers. I've had some hard discussions with anglers, man. And yes, it's a lot of money. Yes, it's a strain on you financially. I don't care how much money you have. But here's the secret sauce. The NPFL is the easy button to professional fishing. Whether you think it's professional or not, it's in our title. Boom, suck it. We're professional. Take it. Right? With the production and what we put on with guys live in studio and the cameraman, dude, I just like Heeman's Wombat's been over there filming the World Cup for the past month. Right? Like, that's the quality of guys we bring around us. And that angler has to see the value in that. Has to, right? So when you can just make a phone call and be in that world like that, you're not pounding around on the EQs with 170 killers trying to get 9 spots, right? You didn't spend, let's say, $45,000 or $50,000 to chase 9 opens and compete and get the top 9 spots and then have to go to the elites. We are the easy button. You're not trying to get through the BPT selection process of invitationals and making it and doing all that. We're saving you all that trouble. You can simply call, make your case for being one of our anglers, and you can pay your money and fish, right? That easy button isn't free. We don't have a prop up league. We don't have a feeder system that we're siphoning money off of to prop up the top tier. So if you're interested in coming and fishing against some of the best guys in the world, Patrick Walters, Jason Williamson, Keith Carson, and I shouldn't even start doing that because there are guys that haven't performed to their potential in the NPFL that I've had personal conversations with. I'm like, hey, man, you got to get out of your own way. Like, you're way too good to be finishing in the 50s in any of these tournaments, right? I don't know what it is, but you need to get your life right, and we need you to perform. Your family needs you to perform. Like, quit making excuses and go fishing. So that's what guys can expect. I don't know if that's exactly what you're expecting, Brian, but we're there to put on the best tournament that you've ever fished. We're there to make sure that you get your. So here's something I said on an angler meeting, and Brian, you're going to cringe, and Kyle probably too, because I know you run a trail. Matt, you won't even get it. So a section of your entry fees, the $5,200 you pay per tournament, some of that goes towards entry fees, some of that goes towards the operating costs and production and paying Brian and Kyle and Matt. So I know exactly what that number is on $5,200. It's 23%, right? So that money you spend, you're paying for me to be there. You're paying for us to take care of you. You're paying for us to make sure that you have that experience for that event. Like, that's what you're paying for. So we are adamant that you feel like you got your money's worth and then some at the end of the day when you participate in the NPFL.
Well, and I like
Transparency
to,
is a good thing.
yeah, and the family thing is so true because being at a couple events, I've seen anglers like fix other anglers' boats, go out of their way to help a competitor. That's like the weird thing. And then the other thing too is like owners parking trucks and boats, backing trucks and boats in the water. I mean, going out of their way to make sure, like you said, Brad, the anglers have the best experience they possibly can. But it's like, I don't know if you see that on some of those other tournaments.
I've been around a lot of them, and I have never seen an owner give an angler his boat to use for the day. I've never seen an owner take parts off of his boat and give to anglers while on the water. Like,
I mean, that's not a norm thing,
is
but
not
I
a
mean,
normal
like
thing,
they need the anglers to fish, but like the one thing that like gets me is like when what was it, Drew 6 when we were in Oklahoma, like went out of his way to help a competitor who's having issues with his motor.
Yep, he missed his launch time because he was helping another angler at that day.
I think that comes down to something you mentioned in your Pro Fishing series that's on Fixed TV, was that you fish tournaments so long now that it's not really you against anybody else.
Right.
It's just you and the fish. And my guess is a lot of these guys don't view them as competitors as much as we're all kind of like in this together to a point that we're all kind of fighting the same battle against these stupid little green and brown things that swim around more so than me versus you.
Right.
And honestly, as soon as you realize that as a competitor, the fishing side of it becomes a lot easier.
It's got to take pressure off of you on the water. You would think so, right?
Yeah,
like it gets, the big thing from tournament fishing, you hear so many anglers that say, I got to go fish. I got to go fish, and when you start just relaxing out there and, you think maybe that good I did on the shore is hopefully going to be reciprocated out on the water.
Right.
Well, I think there's a thing here too, man. Like, and Brian, like when you build anything, any organization, any business, whether it's a racquetball club, a pee wee football team, or a big business like this, culture is so important. Culture is so important to your business, and I know from we talked a lot in the military and special operations about culture. Culture can be the absolute number one downfall, or it can be the greatest thing in your organization. Culture is the hardest thing to change in the world, right? Once you start going down a path, it's very difficult to change for the good and for the worse, right? If your culture gets negative and your culture gets a kind of a black cloud over it, man, it's toxic. It's really hard to change. We feel like leading by example, deeds not words, like really shows who we are and what we're here for, right? Like it's easy. We always tease in the military, you're always fighting the man. No one really knew who the man was, but like you're always like, the big thumb, like someone's always got their thumb on you trying to hold you down. And I looked at Michelle probably last year. I was like, man, it feels like we're becoming the man. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like everyone, they don't know why they don't like you, or they don't know why they don't agree with you. And they can't even articulate it in a straight line sentence, but it's just the way they feel. And we work really hard, man, to keep that at a minimum and let guys know and understand that, hey, all because I don't agree with you as an owner, all because you and I don't see eye to eye on this rule or this, it doesn't mean that I don't like you. It doesn't mean that I think you're a bad person. Being able to, we've lost, and this is a societal thing, and society is reflected in everyone's business. I think you guys know that. We have lost the ability to disagree, right?
Big time. That's a huge issue.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean if you think it should be this way, and I'm the one writing the checks and paying the bills and looking at everything, and I say, well, man, I appreciate your input, but I just don't agree with you. It doesn't mean that I think you're like this horrible person. It doesn't mean I don't like you. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't help you any way I could. It just means that we don't agree, and that's okay. That's like, you actually need that to grow. If everyone agrees and it's a get along gang and blah blah blah, like there's something wrong. Like that's BS. Those things don't exist. And Kyle's seen it. Look, man, when we get squared up and tempers get hot and it's on the line, like myself, Paul, Al, Michelle, Mike, like it gets very heated very fast. And I'm not going to win any HR awards, and neither is, like, we disbanded our HR department because they but dude, Kyle will tell you this, at the end of every day at every weigh-in, we gather the entire staff around the trailer. It's usually dark. It's everyone's super tired, and we figure it out. And when we leave there, everybody is good. Like, I don't think we've ever left one of those meetings, one of those roundtables one of those hey guys, this is what we did today. This is how we're gonna get better. That everybody isn't like, yeah, let's go get some rest because we're going to do it better tomorrow. And that comes from culture and being able to shoulder those burdens without, totally imploding your business. Because I promise you, it's been said, man, that would never happen at this organization, or that would never happen. I'm like, well, when they start writing the checks here, or you start writing the checks, you can dictate how that conversation goes. Until then, get your boat in line, sit in your seat until it comes to a complete stop. Bag your fish, get them on the stage, and then go rig tackle. That's what you need to worry about.
And anglers are not as involved in the behind the scenes and not allowed to have the opinions in some of the other trails either. In the growing years, first 5 years of bass, who knows what happened?
Well, I was going to say nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Nobody remember. Yeah, none of us were around to worry about that.
Rick Flund's probably the only one that still remembers.
Right, and I guarantee you, they had all sorts of issues and all sorts of trying to work stuff out. It's just you don't think about that being the case because they're 50 years old or whatever.
Yeah, and look, man, we have the utmost respect for everything that they do over there because it's, listen, man, it's I don't think it's any different than when you aspire to achieve goals and you look at those benchmarks out there in your market space and go, man, that company did it right. You know what I mean? Are they perfect? No, but they guys are like, well, we listen. Here's one thing that's been said, and you've heard me say it. Well, we're not competing with them. Well, yeah, we are, right? We're competing for the commodity of anglers, right? But I do think there's some ways where we can share that commodity and be mutually beneficial. Clearly, bass, like we need the group of anglers that are out there that are marketable, promotable anglers. And every angler is not marketable and every angler isn't promotable. Like all because
some of them just don't want to be either.
Right.
Well, but it's weird, man, because the funny part is the guys I see, the guys who don't want it are the guys that can actually do it, in my opinion. The guys who are so thirsty that they would kick their grandma out of the passenger seat to give a sponsor a ride to McDonald's aren't those guys, right? And every now and then you hit a lick where you've got that guy who can catch them, and he's promotable and he's marketable. But it's rare, like it's super rare. And we need a training camp for anglers. But you know how I don't know if you know this, in the military, at every branch, the first thing they do is strip you down to where you're just nothing. Like you don't even think for yourself anymore. They take every bit of independence away from you and they give it back to you in a format that builds you into what they want. Like I feel like we need a boot camp for anglers because you would literally have to destroy them and beat them within an inch of their life and then slowly give them their freedom back and train them how to be a good angler, be marketable, and be promotable. We should look at that as a business model, Brian. Boot camp for anglers.
Yeah, I'm sure that would go over
It'd be
huge.
a hell of a reality show.
That would be a hell of a reality show.
Well,
That would be.
Content for fixed TV, man. Let's do it.
It actually is not a bad idea.
And I don't want to sit here like we don't have all the answers. I just feel like with the insights, because I did chase that a little bit early on and got into the business side of it. Hell, if I'd have had more success, we may not be sitting here now, but clearly I didn't. But I do think, I was thinking as like, man, with the knowledge and power I have now, and when I say power, that knowledge makes you feel powerful. That knowledge makes you feel like I figured it out. I was like, man, I wouldn't mind going back and giving it a shot. Like sitting down, like a conversation for me with the sponsor would be way different now from the angler perspective,
Absolutely.
right? Like a lot different. That's never going to happen. But I just feel like, man, how do we take that power that I feel like I have through knowledge and give that to anglers to make them more marketable, right? And we're trying to do some of those things in the NPFL. It's not easy because every guy is so different, but there are some common strands of promotion that I feel like every guy needs. Every guy's not a YouTuber. Every guy's not a TikToker. Every guy can't even get in front of a camera. But some guys are really good copywriters. I'm like, man, articles are a big deal with backlinks and how you structure those and how you disseminate them. Like there's more than just sitting down and writing an article and putting it on your Facebook page or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot more to it than that.
Are you still doing some of those background stories that you did with the twins?
Yeah, we've got one coming out. Actually, much to their chagrin, like I don't. I'm fascinated by success stories. I feel like when you pollute your mind with successful stories and how guys have built things, it makes your mind function differently. And so we sent the twins down to Florida and shot a piece with Mike and Kathy Como, My Story. So for all your viewers out there who don't know, we started, it's actually a short film series from the NPFL, and it's called My Story. Hey, I'm Brad Fuller, and this is my story. And it digs into the journey of not just fishing, but how fishing was intertwined in people's lives, and how each person got here a different way. They see it a different way, and they view fishing in their life where it fits in a different way. Just like if we took all three of you guys and did a My Story on you, it's just different. You know what I mean? And I think that's very interesting and very informative for people to see. And you know how the twins do things, man. It's very cinematic, and the way it's shot.
It's awesome.
Like I think the last one they did on Travis Jewell, which was super cool. Travis is a very interesting guy. It was 14 minutes. It didn't feel like 14 minutes to me when I watched it. But we've got so many stories like that in the NPFL because of the type of angler we attract, right? We got to tell those stories. And the funny part is, man, the minute we aired that, a sponsor said, hey, how do I want my brand associated with that type of media. How do I get my brand associated with it? We're like, whoa, as a matter of fact, we have a dollar figure that you can buy the rights to be the, presenting sponsor for the My Story. So, dude, that is the growth and the evolution of the NPFL, that of us being a media and production outlet that runs bass fishing tournaments. Like, we are content creators using fixed media and fixed productions to collect data. The thing we haven't figured out and the thing we need to get better at is we've got, you can probably tell me, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of content that we need to do a better job of turning that into a monetized media that we can put out to industry. Bass does a great job. BPT, MLF does a great job. That's something that we're still struggling with. And I think our size has something to do with that. I think not having a huge staff, not having a huge budget. Like, if I called you and said, hey, man, I've got $500,000 to invest in this content thing. Can you help me fix it? Something tells me you'd be able to help us fix it.
I was going to say, I've got a couple of ideas already.
So,
well, we talked about one, right? We haven't finished that conversation yet, but I think that's the start of it.
No, absolutely. And it's so I told Michelle, I was like, hey, I'm going to be on with the guys tomorrow. And she goes, oh, I said, hey, Brian's going to be on. I was like, just like the old days. She's like, oh no. I was like, what? She's like, when you two get in the same space, like, I get really worried because the good idea fairy just, turns her life over to you guys.
She loves me.
Hey, Michelle, send me some talking points that we got to bring up.
That's what I was gonna. Yeah. Do you want to hit on one?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say it was an anonymous.
Look at he's stretching now. Like he's getting ready.
First of all, like with some of the things you're saying, Brad, like you're even turning walleye guys interested in the bass side. We got Bob Kloss on, and he's like, man, wow, profound. I like this guy, and he absolutely loves the boot camp idea for the tournament anglers. That's probably something that's not really a terrible idea. It's just.
Well, I got a couple that I could volunteer for it.
That could be in the boot camp.
Can I be in the beatdown part of it, or we beat everything out of them?
It's a figurative beatdown, Kyle. So
I still want in.
But still get a lot of enjoyment. All right,
well, real quick on that beatdown thing is I love that idea, Brad, and it's been done, but it's always been done from the industry standpoint, never from the angler standpoint. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think the anglers have got to kind of learn to take charge of their situation a little bit more than what's dictated.
Well, the MMA.
Is that fair? I'm trying to tippy-toe around that just a little bit.
I think all NFL football players, like when rookies get to camp.
Well, that's the NFLPA. That's what they do.
Yeah, that's part of it. Like they have to learn how to be a professional because a lot of these.
A lot of that's just money management and there's a million things that go along.
Yep.
But in all the things in the fishing industry, it's like, hey, we're this big organization. We're going to sit down and we got these talkers that are going to come in, but all the speakers are all from the manufacturers, who might not necessarily have the same desires that the angler has. I'm just going to...
Well, so I'll be honest. So, dude, we're not going to blow Michelle off because I'll answer for that later. But real quick, so we've got some guys in our league this year that have already signed. They're here with us. Daryl Robertson, Lyndall Martin, Charlie Ingram. I'm not saying that you just guys need to hear their perspective. I'm not saying that those guys are the end all be all, but their perspective is important. They've lived in this industry for, I'd be afraid to say how long, 30, 40 years, right? Like Daryl Robinson was the first $1 million earner in fishing. Oh. So I think we need to do a better job. And then here's the other thing we need to hear from. That's one end of the spectrum. Regan Nelson won the College Classic when it was on Conroe. Regan Nelson is fishing with us, right? So I want him to stand up there and in contrast to Daryl Robertson, a new guy, and give his perception of how all these things look. Throw 5 topics at him and say, hey, give me your perspective on this. When you're open and willing to hear someone's perspective with an open mind, don't find yourself there listening to someone speak and already counter, you're developing, well, I don't believe that for this. Really open up and be open to the fact that maybe you don't know it all. Right? Maybe there's something you could learn, a little snippet that makes you better, whether it's technique or marketability or writing or video, whatever that is. I think there's some value there.
Yep. Good point.
Well said.
Scott wanted to remind everybody too that we have ex-drill sergeant on staff already. So he's on our YouTube. So remember everybody, this is on YouTube, Facebook, and Fix TV as well. Again, we're joined here with Brad Fuller of the NPFL. Now, let's put you on the hot seat. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, so the first one is, what's your favorite Real Housewives franchise?
So the way we're going to answer this is the one that I hate the least. Like, dude, I walk in the room, totally right now, we're living at my dad's house, and we have a TV in our bedroom, which I hate. And
I agree. I'm along the same way.
I get a sinking feeling when I walk in and see Michelle's gonna be mad because I don't remember the names. I hate the Utah one, the Mormons ones. Like, there's the one that's got the NFL coach. Like, she's being indicted like on major fraud, and but it's Salt Lake, Real Housewives of Salt Lake. That's the one I hate the most.
I couldn't name a single one of them, to be honest with you.
But okay, so you're gonna skip which one's your favorite. You're just gonna go with one you don't.
You can't go wrong with Orange Beach, OG, Vicky and the gang. Like, I'm not a Teresa fan for New Jersey.
Definitely sounds like he's never watched it before.
So in my defense,
I think he lost his audio.
You still got me?
Oh,
yeah, we got you.
I can't.
So
I lost him.
You're good, Brad.
Keep going, Brad. It's me, not you.
Top on the left, Michelle's on the right. She's got this smut TV on, and I'm like, I look at her, I'm like, what about this is entertaining? She's like, but you're watching. I'm like, well, it's on. I'm working on my laptop, but I'm watching. These are horrible people. Anyway.
Your answer should have been, I'm watching it because you're watching it. I'm not choosing to watch it.
Yeah, I didn't come in and you don't see me going through and recording Real Housewives of anything.
Well,
right?
That's like my wife is like huge into The Bachelor, Bachelorette, that whole crap. Yeah. And I go, this show is probably the number one reason why divorce rates are so high is because people sit around and think this is real.
Right.
Like, I just get in a helicopter and fly to some island, and then they wonder why these people come back to reality, right? And it's like, well, when are we going to the next excursion? It's like those things are set up to fail from day one. Because I tell people all the time, if you can't get along with your spouse on one of these romantic 6-day getaways or whatever somewhere, like, I don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean?
So, Michelle, if you text Matt, like, there's a new one on that is the sin of TV. Like, it should be like the FCC should shut it down. It's too hot to handle.
There's a ton of those, like Temptation Island.
Oh, that was one of my favorites.
They're terrible.
It's way worse than Temptation Island. Like, it's horrible. Horrible.
My wife is also into the Bachelor, Bachelorette,
Oh,
and I
it's
just sit
just
there
so
and I'm
bad.
like, "Why are you watching this?" But I'm watching
think
it as
about
well. But I'm watching it to critique it and
Wait,
talk
right,
about
well,
how dumb it
think
really
about
is.
this, though, The
It's all
Bachelor.
scripted.
No,
None
but-
of that is
but-
real.
Right, but think about The Bachelor. One guy dating 30 women. So if any women that actually watch that show would not be into that at all. Right? They would all hate that. And then you get down to the final one, it's like, oh, we're going to have the overnights. It's like, and you're all good with this.
Yeah.
You're all good with this.
And the part, it's funny how this turned from attorney talk, to this talk. But like the one thing
That's why this show's awesome.
right. But that's what I'm like, this is a game show. This is literally a game
crazy.
show. Well, she's like, no, it's not. They're trying to find love. I go, bull crap. Bull crap. They're trying to find the money. Like,
yeah.
We should have the bachelorettes train anglers how to be marketable because that's what these people are doing.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what they're doing. Okay, so
That's
then
awesome.
I think in a roundabout way you kind of answered the second question Michelle sent us, which is who is your favorite housewife? I think you said that one.
Yeah.
He's got a tippy toe on this one, too.
Categories, so it's not a straight line answer. So, it's like you love the villain, like the one you want to punch. Like literally, I swear, if I was walking through an airport and I walked into Vicky, I don't know what her last name is. I think I'd punch her in the face. Like I would.
I have no idea who you're talking about, but you'd probably get a high five from a lot of people, too.
All right, and then the last one that came in from Michelle is, how did you land such an amazing chick?
Is she talking about her? I guess. That's what she's talking about.
Yeah.
No, listen, man. Brian and I have had this discussion, and I know your wife, Matt. Like, listen, man. And I've stopped saying behind every, like, nothing I've ever done since I met Michelle is possible without her, right? Yep. Not standing behind me, standing beside me. She's trying to be funny, but listen, man, like she takes the brunt of everything, and I find myself apologizing more and more, like. When something goes wrong, it's her fault, and she takes it and just says, "You're an a-hole," And we are a very, very good team when it comes to dealing with all this stuff. And she's been great here the last week with everything I've been dealing with, and the family's been dealing with. Like it's been very special.
Yeah, we just lost your image, but are you still there, Brad?
Yeah, man. Anglers are calling.
Oh, you're a big deal. Yeah, I told
percentage of anybody who signed up during the show. Is that how this works?
Oh, hey.
Hey.
Sorry, always looking to make $1, Brad.
Yeah.
There needs to be a camera on Brad and a camera on Michelle, and that needs to be a reality show during the event.
I agree, 100%. Like the behind the scenes stuff
so
that people don't.
I get both sides of it all the time.
Like
so it's awesome.
I just think about our conversation at Perkins in Florida.
Yep.
That should have been a reality.
One story you think you could tell that would not get them divorced or us fired?
No, I'm not.
Fair. Okay.
Nope.
Moving on.
I'm Switzerland in this one because.
So I kind of work. I'll give you this, and so Kathy came and worked. Kathy Como came and worked in the trailer with Michelle for an event, and the way we run our weigh-ins, it's very. And Kyle's probably like, "Don't crawl behind or under the couch, Kyle." I'm
trying to find some of the pictures Michelle takes.
I look at the overall timing of every angler on stage, start doing averages, look at what we have remaining, and I'm like, hey, speed up, slow down, and all this. So it wasn't going how I wanted it to go, and I wasn't getting the reaction from the staff I thought I should have been getting to acknowledge that we need to either speed up or slow down. I just opened the trailer door, which is a big no-no during weigh-ins, and barked a couple things and just walked away. And Kathy has never let me forget that's actually she's like, you were speaking. I was like, yes, I was speaking to you. Like I was. And anyway, I have had to since change that mindset just a little bit. I'm getting more people friendly, I think. You know, with the way the way I deal with people, I think.
It's getting soft.
Well, the
is what
one
he's
thing I
trying
will
to
say
say.
when you deal with Brad is he's just like that whole scene he's got. He's very black and white.
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
Everything with Brad's black and white. If you like dealing with people who aren't going to sugarcoat anything,
Yep.
I mean anything at all, in any form or fashion, the NPFL and working with Brad Fuller is the place you should be fishing.
Well, and the people around you are the same way as well.
Yeah.
Paul Benson is another example of that.
They have to be, and it works. It works. It's not for everybody. Like, we had a couple visitors that come to Kissimmee, and some very prominent people in the industry that have done a lot of things. And you know, when someone's around long enough, like, they're going to get a true peek into how we function and operate. And it works for us. It doesn't work for everybody. But you know, look, guys. I said this earlier. Every single person that's involved with the NPFL on the staff side is someone who has an emotional or tie to us in a family way, right? Like not, and I consider like Kyle and Matt, when you show up, and Travis, like it's not a work relationship. Like, you don't do the things we do and the things we say in a work environment, right? Like hell, man, we didn't even do some of the stuff wouldn't have been tolerated in the military units I was in, right? Like and that's okay. And as long as we all understand that it comes from a point of really caring about the business, like Kyle and Jeff Fulbright and Brendan, and I'm going to leave people out, and it's horrible. Big Dano, Paul's dad. Like, Paul's dad comes and works the events with us, right? Like Brendan is a longtime family friend. Kyle's very close to Al. Like, it has to be that way, and it's not going to stay that way forever. Like, we have some growth and stuff that we're going to go through, but man, we're going to look back on these years as the golden years of the NPFL, because there'll be a day and time where this model it's got to change, right? And it's probably sooner than later. I think, as far as the business goes and the fun aspect of what we do, it's hard to imagine anything being better than 2023 or 2022. Like, it was a fun year to have everybody around.
I agree. So, Brad, I know you're a busy guy, and we're going to kind of wrap this up and let you get rolling. But if anybody's looking for, information on the NPFL, or want to follow along on some of these, what'd you call them, My Story things, where would you send somebody?
So all the My Story stuff is on the TMPFL YouTube page. It's one of our channels on our YouTube page. You can see it there. If you want information about the NPFL, you can go to tmpfl.com. So, the National Professional Fishing League. You click on About, you click on Details. It shows you all the information. If you're thinking you want to sign up, before you do anything, the very first thing you do is go on there and click on the Join the League tab. That takes you to an automated kind of application, name, address. It's nothing crazy. You can upload a resume if you have one. You can write, a couple pages about yourself if you want to do that, or you can write 5 words. And then through that, gets you into the process of vetting and all that stuff to be looked at for joining 2023. Here's a little secret, guys. If you want to fish in 23, come and get it. Like, this is the golden year for a guy who's like, man, I don't want to qualify. I don't want to beat around on this. Like, I just want to go fishing. I want to try it one time. How do I stack up? Like, what's it feel like to line up in the morning in the national anthem and launch and come in and having those big, giant $150 million cameras floating around and microphones and the talent and all that stuff. So if you want to see what it feels like, this is your year, man. There may not be another year like this in bass fishing for a long, long time.
Cool. And then socials. I know you hit YouTube, but what about Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah, everything is just TMPFL. So if you can search the National Professional Fishing League, you can search the league. Like, we're catching some traction on the league tag there, man. So I'm excited about that. That was kind of a dream of ours, to be around long enough and sustain enough. When you look at the league, we're starting to get some run there on some of the Google AdWords and stuff like that. So that's a big deal. That's some marketing speak for the high level guys. Google AdWords. but yeah, man, we're destined to make sure this thing goes off without a hitch. And I've been looking for one from Captain Keller. I'm a little disappointed Captain Keller's not, maybe sniffing around, wanting to come out and jockey around on the MPFL.
Yeah, wrong fish. wrong species.
Unless
for
you're
him.
talking about Captain
Unless
Keller
you're talking
Jr.
about me, but yeah, the old man's not. He's gonna stick to walleye fishing.
Yeah. Well, look, man, thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's always fun to hang out with you guys, and I need to get up there and look at some of that boat. I saw a little elf running around dropping some discounts a couple days ago on your social. So I need to come up there. I think I'm going to go book some hunts for next year. So I'm finally going to bite the bullet and upgrade the bow. So if even if I have to sacrifice like a couple pieces of tile in this new bathroom that I just looked at to make it happen.
All right, Brad. Well, we appreciate it, man. I know you're extremely busy, so thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you and Michelle and the rest of the MPFL staff. I mean, it's really awesome. And, this is going to be the first of many. I think as the season progresses, we're going to have Brad and, Al and some of the other gang on here, a bunch more. So
I think we got to get Michelle on here.
I
too.
agree.
We should get Michelle on here for sure.
I would say a show you have to do at some point. And I would even have Megan in, and because, like, Michelle, Megan, Kathy, Tara, would be a scary show. Like I would record it and then air
I'm not going to be in the building.
My wife always said that would be a popular show, just like, Brian and I kind of want to do, just say here. Can you imagine if all our wives were somewhere just talking about how awesome we are? That would be really, really popular.
We're so awesome. It would be just fantastic.
Yeah. I'm scared.
I think the internet would go down that day. We might not be able to get. Yeah, so
It's cool to see a couple anglers watching this too, Brad. Joe DeCerny made a comment earlier about how you called him at the first event. Adam Savage just popped in, so it's cool to see some of the guys watching it. Matt, maybe see some on the others.
Yeah, no, man, it's been it's good. So I think we shared this our MPFL page as well. So hopefully, this is great for us, man. So again, I appreciate it, and we'll see you guys here in a little bit. I think Brian, I need to get a hold of you and schedule a call we need to get something done. We need to talk to you before Christmas, so we'll just try to schedule something for next week if you can before Christmas.
I'm available. Just let me know.
Yeah, I'm glad to see you back in the game, man. Like I feel like you've been gone. Like
Yeah,
not gone.
It's been busy. Hey, I just got done with that house build thing. It was a year and a half of. Well, you know what? It was a year and a half of.
Dude, it's yeah. So it's gonna be okay. You've told me you're like it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. So
see, when you're done with this though, then you got to do all your landscaping by yourself, and then you know where I was for the last year.
Yeah, I don't.
We're out on sod. Not coming over to do your sod.
At least that'll go on in the spring, and but yeah, man, we're gonna try to enjoy some of that.
Awesome.
all right, well, thanks a lot, Brad. Hey, we'll talk to you later, buddy. Again, everybody, that was Brad Fuller with the MPFL. I think we're out of here too.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna get ready for the weekend. We got some stuff to do yet in the store. So if you haven't been into the Real Shot, I'd most definitely check it out. There's still some holiday shop-a-thon deals going on. Appreciate everybody that tuned in for the holiday shop-a-thon. That's really supportive for all this. So enjoy your weekend, everybody. Be safe if you're doing Christmas stuff. Have a great weekend, and then we'll be back here Monday morning at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Peace.